All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed. And this one is going to be interesting because this kind of ties into the conversation that we were having, just before about how there are bots going around on social media trying to essentially demoralize you into making you feel as if your fight against, the death of physical media is somehow a bad thing because XYZ digital products sold, right? Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me every single day 9 p.m. over on the main channel where you can catch me live every single day 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see every single one of you there. Now back to the main video, because what they're doing is they're conflating the two. They know what you're actually fighting for, but they want to try to take what you're fighting for, muddy up the waters, and make it seem like that's not what you're actually fighting for, right? They're trying to pretend as if the people that are fighting for physical media don't buy digital media whatsoever. And again, nobody ever said that. That was never a thing, but they continue to make it seem like that to this day. Well, something similar is happening with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, right? Where we always complain about day one DLC, right? You guys know day one DLC to me is extremely egregious, especially when it's like to the level of which Ubisoft usually does. But we've complained about day one DLC for Pokemon video games where they tried to sell you like a $30 Raichu, a Mega Raichu or something like that. They literally took that out the game, sold it to you as a day one DLC because Nintendo just didn't want to admit that they wanted to sell their Pokemon game for $100. So they sold it for $70, took out Mega Raichu, and then sold Mega Raichu for like $25-$30, right? So day one DLC is extremely egregious, right? We even just went over the Dead or Alive video game that got released on Steam that has literally thousands of dollars in day one DLC. Well, people were complaining about Assassin's Creed Black Flag day one DLC, right? Because it had about $85, give or take. I think it was like $85 for all the day one DLC. And Pirate Nation made this post and said the following, and I found it to be really interesting. Even with all the backlash over its launch day DLC, Ubisoft still apparently made almost $1 million from the 85-year-old DLC. So, he's trying to essentially say that they made about $1 million from that DLC combined from the people that bought the game. I would almost guarantee you, and we could even probably put money on this, I would almost guarantee you that out of that $1 million, the majority of it is on the PlayStation platform. I swear to God, guys, I would bet money on that. The majority of it is on the PlayStation platform because we've discussed this so many times over, right? But we'll talk about it. Machete says it's just skins, though, not DLC. Oh, so skins are not DLC anymore? Hey, guys, I don't know how old you are. Do you remember a time when they used to ship you video games with skins you can unlock through gameplay in the game? All the skins you could unlock through gameplay. Remember how that was considered content, like additive content? Remember that? Remember when that was a thing? Shit, I remember that. Now it's just like, oh, it's just skins. See, that's the thing. That's where they want your mindset to be at. They want your mindset to be at, oh, it's just skins. They want you to be okay with allowing them to take away stuff that they used to give you for free. They want you to be okay with it. Because they'll just tell you, well, it's not pay to win, and it's not actual, like, content. It's just skins. They want you to be in that mindset. Because when you're in that mindset, you suddenly become okay with receiving less for more money. You know? Again, not hating or anything. I'm just telling you that's what they want, right? So anyway, according to Alinea Analytics, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced has sold around 701,000 copies on Steam, which, right away, okay? They announced 2 million copies sold. Okay? So since they announced 2 million copies sold, if they really only sold 701,000 on Steam, that means the majority is on PlayStation. The majority is on PlayStation, which would pretty much bolster what I was saying before. They made about $35 million from the game sales, which is not enough for an Assassin's Creed. You know, even though I'm sure their budget is lower since it's a remake and not a brand new project. It's still Ubisoft at the end of the day with a massive budget, a bloated studio, a bloated team, insane amount of money being spent. I'm sure that they need a lot more money than this to break even. But anyway, on top of that, players spent nearly $1 million on the optional DLC available on day one. The game has received mixed reviews on Steam due to microtransactions, but it seems people bought it anyway, and Ubisoft and other companies will continue this greed. So, out of curiosity, all right, let's just do an average, right? Take 1 million. Take 1 million and divide it by 85. Let's say everybody bought the 85, like whoever paid the DLC bought all $85 worth, right? That's about 11,764 people that bought the DLC, right? And that's if they bought it all at the $85 mark. Now, to be fair, most people probably didn't do that. Most people probably spent, maybe half of that or whatever. But realistically, I think it's safe to assume that it's probably like 15 to 20,000 players have bought the DLC, which resulted in that $1 million. 15 to 20,000 players out of supposedly 2 million copies sold. So even if they bought one thing or two things, it doesn't matter. Now you're talking about 30, 40,000 players. It's still 30, 40,000 compared to whatever, like the 2 million copies sold. I don't know. I think that realistically, them charging day one DLC is egregious no matter what. I understand some people out there are okay with it. I'm never okay with day one DLC. I think it's crazy. If you want to do your ultimate editions, your whatever, it's fine. I get that. I understand that. Trying to offer more in order to sell the game for more, but you sell it as a complete experience. This day one DLC bullshit of stripping content, especially cosmetic content that we used to get back in the day for free. I mean, for God's sakes, do you not remember unlocking different outfits for your fighter characters and stuff like that? Like, now you don't even get that anymore. Now you get barely any of that. You got to pay money. You got to come out with your wallet. Now the way you unlock is by swiping your credit card. There's always going to be that crowd. There's always going to be that crowd that is going to spend money on that day one DLC. And realistically, that day one DLC is not going to make or break them. It's just trying to essentially pad their failures as much as possible, because realistically, Ubisoft, $35 million, that's not enough for this game. This game probably has to make 150 at the minimum to break even. I gotta imagine, between everything, marketing, budget, all that stuff, they gotta make at least 150. I'm sure they'll get there eventually. With this one, Shadows, they're not gonna reach. They're just not gonna do it. But when it comes to Black Flag, I think they can get there. But again, it's like they're trying to train you to be okay with this stuff being taken away from you. But my point is, the way that this is phrased in the sense of like, well, people bought it anyway, and this is why they're going to continue doing this greed. They're going to do this greed no matter what until there's literally $0 being made or nearly zero. And unfortunately, the industry being as big as it is, I don't think we're ever going to get there. I would promise you that most of this $1 million was on PlayStation. Why do I think that? Because look at the leaks that happened with Grand Theft Auto Online. I bring it up all the time. Look at the leaks that happened. Monthly spend was over $4 million on Grand Theft Auto Online for the PlayStation platform. On the PC platform, it was like $700,000 or a little less than that. On Xbox, it was under $1 million. But on PlayStation, it was over $4 million monthly. It was like $4.5 million basically. So I don't know, man. I think it's insane. And realistically, man, I don't think it's ever going to really change in the way that's going to benefit us, right? That's really what it's going to be. So, but for the people out there that are trying to use this, because there's people out there that are trying to use this to try to be like, whoa, look at the PlayStation gamers. They gave it up. They gave it up, boys. They gave it up, boys. Sounds like the review bombers are once again a vocal minority. This is why PlayStation will win. They don't even have to change course. They just have to wait. Gamers will complain all week, then open their wallets on launch day anyway. And then he's clapping for it. He's clapping for it. Bro, there's people out there that are literally celebrating a corporation charging more money. Like what happened? What happened to this? What happened to this world where people out there are literally celebrating a corporation charging more money? How does that benefit you? Do you feel like you're part of some exclusive club? Do you feel like it somehow justifies your salary or justifies your ego or justifies whatever? Just accept people are stupid. It's reality. No, I accept people are stupid. I get that, but I can still question. I can still question the stupidity, right? Like I feel like I have a right to question the stupidity. But this is not even stupidity. This is advocating for your own like demise at this point. Half the gamers to the other half, our expectations for you were low, but holy fuck. Of course people bought it anyway because of the nostalgia aspect. In reality, it's modern slop disguised as a beloved game. People fell for it hook, line, and sinker. This sounds like Tiger King. That's the problem with all gaming platforms, the cuck fanboys. Gamers are stupid. They reward bad behavior. They expect there to be better behavior from the gaming industry. Yeah, I agree. This monkey behavior is the main reason why gaming became like this. I still don't get who would be interested in those lame, outlandish DLCs. It's kind of cringe to me. You know, it's a little weird. It is a little weird. I'm not gonna lie to you that there's $85 worth of day one cosmetic DLCs for a video game that's single player. Isn't that a little bit weird? Like, who exactly are you showing this off to? Because skins, everybody knows skins sell in multiplayer video games because of the aspect of showing it off to other people, right? And that kind of like push really helps sell a lot of skins in games like League of Legends, for example. Obviously, the skins got to be cool looking and stuff to really get people. But I mean, realistically, like most people buy skins to show off to other people. Why do you think somebody in that video game, what was that Chinese video game? Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet. Do you think the guy bought the $40,000 boat for himself? Or do you think he bought the $40,000 boat so that he could immediately summon it at the harbor and get the entire server there on his boat? Because that's what actually happened. Right? That's what actually happened. Like, I'm sure there are some people that do buy the skins for themselves and whatever, do what you want to do with your money. I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying, like, after a certain point, I do have to question. I have to be like, really? $85 worth of cosmetic DLC in a single player game that you can't share with anybody? I don't know. I guess. I suppose whatever works. But yeah, the whales do it because they want to show off. That's why they do it. That's the same reason why there are $400 or whatever it is, $300 skins in League of Legends. Same exact reason why. Because the whales want to show it off. Chicks dig digital boats. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Digital boats. They're panty droppers. Yeah, absolutely. You know? So, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I get it, I guess. But this realistically is the reason why things will continue the way that they're going. And also considering now with the whole PlayStation thing and we're going into a more digital-oriented future, it's only going to get worse, you know? Dante says, I have 100 Fortnite skins. Never have I thought I want others to see me look cool. So this is another thing people do, Dante. I noticed that it's kind of like if people don't do something, they then don't understand the argument that other people do it for that kind of attention. Like, I understand you may not do that. You may not think I want to look cool. I want other people to see my cool skin. You may not think that. But because you don't do that doesn't mean that other people don't actively do that as well. It happens all the time. There are people out there that will spend hours working on their character's transmog to make themselves look cool, and then they'll go stand in town and try to get attention for people. Happens in Final Fantasy 14 all the time, bro. You'll have people that spend all this time on their outfits, making themselves look as cool as possible, and then they'll go stand around in town with a bunch of other cosplayers, all trying to look cool. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I just think, at the end of the day, man, I never understood the whole, like, DLC, what do you call it? Like, cosmetic DLC in single-player games. I never understood it personally. I just never got it. But again, just because I don't get it doesn't matter. Doesn't mean that other people are not doing it. So that's basically it. But yeah, realistically, $1 million still a lot of money, and in the grand scheme of things, it'll probably end up being even more, especially once they start putting it all on sale. What makes this even more egregious, by the way, before we finish this topic, is that it's a Ubisoft game, guys. It's a Ubisoft game. In 90 days, this game is going to be 50% off. The DLC is going to be 50% off. In like 120 days, it's going to be 70% off. Why are we doing this for an Assassin's Creed Ubisoft game? As if it's not going to go on mega sale in like 6 months. I don't know, man. It's so funny to me. Anyway, that's basically it, boys, for the Assassin's Creed Black Flag story.